From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. Our top story tonight: a Palestinian American physician walked out of the meeting with President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and other officials. Dr. Taher Ahmed, who recently visited Gaza, abruptly left, handing Biden a letter from an 8-year-old orphaned Palestinian girl pleading for protection from Israeli military operations. His walkout reflects growing tensions and concerns amongst American Muslims over America's continued support of Israel in this ongoing war, which has killed over 30,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians. Analysts say that the protest serves as a reminder of the political challenges Biden faces in balancing his unwavering support for Israel with calls for humanitarian intervention. U.S. officials have cautioned Israel against further military action in Gaza without proper plans to safeguard civilians. Israeli attacks in Gaza have killed 59 Palestinians and wounded 83 others in multiple strikes over the last 24 hours. According to Wafa news agency, 5 people were killed in Khan Yunis, while 3 died in Deir al-Bala due to Israeli shellings of their homes. Numerous others were injured in Gaza City neighborhoods. Israel continues to block the United Nations Aid and Refugee Agency from delivering life-saving supplies. According to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, or UNRWA, the overall aid flow into Gaza has been insufficient. It says on average 161 aid trucks were allowed to enter the enclave per day throughout March, well below the target of 500. As well, 3 more UNRWA members have been killed in Gaza, bringing the total of the agency's staff killed since October 7 to 176. Israeli forces have detained 30 people, including a journalist, across the occupied West Bank since Tuesday. More arrests were concentrated in Jerusalem and Ramallah. The total number of Palestinians imprisoned since October 7 has reached 7,990. Meanwhile, the toll of Palestinians killed in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7 stands at 32,975, with 75,577 wounded and approximately 8,000 missing. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7 attacks stands at 1,139, with dozens still held prisoners. Many Palestinian civilians, including children, were killed and others injured in Israeli airstrikes in the city of Rafah on Monday. The civilians were reportedly on their way to get food. Footage shows the corpses of the victims on the floor and family members praying and crying. A father is seen saying his son had gone out to get food and along the way Israel bombed him. The family has moved from Gaza City to the southern part of Rafah for safety. On Sunday, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu approved operational plans for an attack on Rafah. He claims it is the last stronghold of Hamas and insists on attacking it despite escalating regional and international warnings. The area is home to about 1.4 million Palestinians, and the majority of them have been displaced in the last 6 months of Israel's war on Gaza. A U.S. anti-hunger group on Monday criticized the notion that hungry Americans could subsist on positive economic reports amid rising food insecurity. CEO of Hunger Free America, Joel Berg, highlighted the disconnect between economic growth and widespread poverty. He called out the trend of relying on economic indicators when 44 million Americans, including 13 million children, are living in food-insecure households. Berg also emphasized that economic statistics mainly benefit the wealthy while neglecting the structural flaws in the economy. Despite inflation easing, corporations' prices gouging persists, worsening financial strain on Americans. Data from the Federal Reserve revealed soaring wealth amongst the top 1%, propelled by the stock market. Meanwhile, calls for wealth taxes and wage increases face hurdles in Congress. Mosques in New York City are aiding migrants during Ramadan. Imam Omar Nias of Jamiatul Ansaruddin Mosque in East Bronx had opened its doors despite financial strain, accruing significant utility bills. The mosques in New York are often migrants' first stop. The mosque then refers them to local organizations. With the immigration surge continuing for the third year, mosques are struggling to meet the needs of the growing migrant population, which has grown during Ramadan. Leaders appeal for donations to provide essentials such as food and shelter. They've also urged city officials to expand assistance programs and relax shelter restrictions. Mayor Eric Adams' initiative to involve faith-based community faces challenges, with only 5 out of 75 approved for migrant sheltering. Faith-based institutions face obstacles due to outdated infrastructure. So far, just 5 houses of worship have been approved to help provide additional bed space for more than 64,000 migrants under the city's care. In St. Paul, Minnesota, the deaf community marked Ramadan with a special Iftar celebration at the Wilder Foundation. Hosted by the Minnesota deaf Muslim community, the event emphasized culturally and linguistically appropriate services. It offered attendees an opportunity to break their fast together while building community bonds. Keynote speaker Omar Ibrahim explained Islamic tenets, and Valerie Shirley, executive director of the Minnesota Deaf Muslim community, underscored the importance of inclusive events within the community. Cyber threats surge in the Middle East during Ramadan. Details come after the break. Stay tuned, and we will be right back. Welcome back. Middle Eastern companies brace for heightened cyber threats amid increased e-commerce activity and reduced staffing during Ramadan. Endpoint protection firm Security reports a spike in cyber malevolence, estimating losses up to $100 million from scams targeting residents, expats, and visitors. Fraudulent campaigns impersonating local shipping companies like Aramax are on the rise, exploiting SMS and messaging platforms. IDC's Shipley Honda notes a surge in DDoS, phishing, and ransomware attempts during Ramadan, stressing the need for proactive security measures. Security consultant Ali Haider advises building a culture of vigilance amongst employees and collaborating with law enforcement agencies. He also emphasizes the need for year-round cybersecurity readiness, warning of opportunistic attackers exploiting vulnerabilities. Bissau Diomaye Faye officially assumed office as Senegal's 5th president following a closely contested election. The 44-year-old pled to uphold the constitution, fight corruption, and strengthen democracy in the Muslim-majority country. His inauguration ceremony near the capital Dakar was attended by leaders from across Africa and international representatives, including Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. FAI emphasized solidarity among African nations to address security threats and assured foreign partners of Senegal's commitment to mutual cooperation. FAI's victory came after his release from prison, stemming from political controversies. Analysts anticipate FAI's presidency could facilitate the reintegration of military-led countries into regional blocs. Senegal witnessed mass protests earlier this year after former President Macky Sall announced the postponement of the election. He cited a dispute over the candidates' list and alleged corruption of constitutional judges. The Senegalese Constitutional Council later annulled the postponement. A campaign to boycott Indian goods has surged in Bangladesh following allegations of election manipulation by the ruling Awami League. Social media activists say Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina owes her fourth consecutive victory to support from India. Bangladeshis are expressing discontent with India's alleged silence on democratic regression in Bangladesh. Activists argue India's backing of the Awami League undermines Bangladesh's democratic progress. It has prompted calls for boycotting Indian products. Professor Ali Riaz of Illinois State University and president of the American Institute of Bangladesh Studies has highlighted growing anti-Indian sentiment in the country. He has suggested a link between U.S. inaction and India's support for Bangladesh's ruling government. President Joe Biden has made significant gains against Republican challenger Donald Trump in 6 out of 7 crucial swing states. According to a Bloomberg News Morning Consult poll, a shift has occurred in Biden's favor after a rallying State of Union address. Biden now leads Trump by 1 point in Wisconsin and is tied in Pennsylvania and Michigan. It is uncertain if this is a temporary boost or a lasting change. Winning in what has been called the Blue Wall states would solidify Biden's chances for a second term. As Trump faces financial constraints and reduced campaign activity, Biden is actively engaging in swing states, including a recent visit to North Carolina. He does face the uncommitted movement. Newly released footage from a California Highway Patrol helicopter sheds light on the fatal September 2022 shootout between San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies and murder suspect Anthony Graziano. The shootout caused the death of Graziano's 15-year-old abducted daughter, Savannah. The video suggests that the minor may have been surrendering when she was shot by deputies. Graziano had abducted Savannah after allegedly murdering his estranged wife in the city of Fontana. Following an Amber Alert, authorities found Graziano's truck in Barstow, leading to a 45-mile pursuit. He fired at deputies with Savannah in the vehicle, Sheriff's Police said. The pursuit culminated in a shootout on the 15th Highway in Harparia, police said. The footage shows Graziano exchanging gunfire with deputies as Savannah kneeled, then stands and walks towards a deputy before being shot. Former President Donald Trump has resumed campaigning and again invoked the term bloodbath, this time in relation to crime and illegal border crossings. Speaking in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Trump criticized President Joe Biden's border policies, claiming they have led to unprecedented chaos. He reiterated this at a subsequent rally in Green Bay, Wisconsin, emphasizing key Midwest states' role in the 2024 election. Trump's remarks included a tribute to a Michigan resident recently killed by a person allegedly in the U.S. illegally. According to a recent Pew Research Center survey, there has been a significant increase in the number of Americans acknowledging discrimination against Jews and Muslims. The survey showed the percentage of U.S. adults perceiving discrimination against Jews has doubled in the past 3 years, now standing at 40%. Similarly, 44% of respondents believe Muslims face a lot of discrimination, up by 5% since 2021. The rise in discrimination perceptions is particularly noticeable since Israel's latest war on Gaza. 7 in 10 Muslims and 9 in 10 Jews surveyed have experienced increased discrimination against their respective communities since the conflict began. We don't know how this discrimination is defined. The survey also delves into attitudes towards free speech concerning the war. Most Americans supported expressions for or against statehood, but rejected calls for violence. Both Democrats and Republicans generally agree on these sentiments. The survey's findings come amid heightened reports of anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents in the U.S. Republicans are most likely to say there's a lot of discrimination against Jews, followed by Muslims, evangelical Christians, and white people. Democrats are about twice as likely as Republicans to say discrimination has increased against Muslims and Arabs. That's all from our Washington, D.C. studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Muslim Network TV invites you to join us for our Ramadan Telethon 2024, taking place on Saturday, April 6 from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. So stay tuned. This Ramadan, your support is needed more than ever to continue our mission of providing informative, educational, and inspiring content to Muslims in North America and around the world. Donate now by calling 1-800-432-4262. You can also use the Zelle app for easy payments by sending to info@soundvision.com or visit Muslim Network TV/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.